Hello and welcome back, friends. If you are new around here, I'm Big Gator. If you came looking for the sharpest tennis bets, you are right where you belong. Right now we're covering ATP, Chengdu, and Hangzhou. Made it to the quarterfinals, so put into the comments what you are playing for this evening or this morning, or depending on where you are in the world. And keep your eyes peeled for my pinned comment to see what I'll be playing if you'd like to follow along. If you do like the breakdowns of these matches and you like to just support the channel, you can like this video. It goes a super long way for me. If you are feeling generous for any of the wins that you do get, please, there's a link in the description, or the pinned comment, I'm sorry, if you would like to donate. And lastly, there's a link to my free Discord where we have, it's more of a hub, a free hub for betting. And good bets come through 24/7, not just from me as well. We have a great community of people with great knowledge on tennis. So get yourself involved. Pop into the swamp. We'd love to have you. And with that being said, what are we looking like for today? Huh? What are we looking like? Any winners? We were sadly disappointed by Sebastian Corda, which, anyway, we had him in a two-leg with Leonard Tien. Leonard Tien did his job, won in straights against Etcheverry. Told you. And then Sebastian Corda couldn't beat Wu. Puts him on the iffy list, if you ask me. I'm going to stop betting on Sebastian Corda. Not until maybe after October. I'll put some money on Sebastian Corda. I'm done with him for right now, though. And then we took Musetti money line and a separate ticket, and that hit. Good stuff from Musetti. And then over 20.5 total games with Kaboli versus Fonseca. That was a shit show. Like, I can't even believe that didn't go our way. Kaboli was up, was giving us the match we were looking for, and then out of nowhere, shit the bed. Gave up both sets, which was just crazy. So, it is what it is. We couldn't get our over 20.5, but we move on. And then our last ticket, which is our major bang of the day, we took over 19.5 total games for Rublev and Royer, and Dalibor Svrcina to get a set. Bang. Happy with that. Glad I didn't take Rublev because I told you Royer was in the position to do so. The Frenchmen have been hitting very well for us this year. So, a lot different from last year, as we can say. But we will carry on into Chengdu. And I will try to be as quick as possible. We only have about 8 matches, so it shouldn't take up too much of people's time. I got things to do. Y'all got things to do. So, let's get into it. First match is going to be Christopher O'Connell going against Alejandro Tabilo. So we got Chris O'Connell and Tabilo, and this is going to be their 4th head-to-head. Crazy enough, they play each other 3 times, and Tabilo's won every single time. O'Connell did retire earlier this year in the Guangzhou Challenger, but previous to that, he's beaten him every time. It's looking like he was getting a head start on beating him as well. I could be wrong there, though, in the Guangzhou Challenger, but played on the clay, won in straights in Monte Carlo, and in Indian Wells back in 2023 in qualies. Tabilo took the best. Took the result there. So, just looking at, who they've been playing. Yizhu and Quentin Elise have definitely been interesting people to be beating, but nothing to write home about. Tabilo has gotten to a challenger final right before getting into Chengdu, so beating Dartery in straights and Thompson in straights, Lloyd Harris in 3 consecutive tiebreaks. I think he's been playing really good. I think just off of just that alone, right? And then we have O'Connell. Who, let's see, historically is terrible against lefties. This season, he is an 0-9 record against lefties. He hasn't beat a single lefty this season. So, Tabilo could be a bit tired, though. And I don't know. Tabilo could be a bit tired. Maybe that's just me, but Let's see. All right. Tabilo is the favorite at minus 186. I do like him at that price. I think it's a decent price. I think it's a decent price for sure. And I would take that, honestly. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you can play him on DraftKings Fantasy. But I like Tabilo moneyline today. I think that's a pretty solid pick for the price and all. And we can move right along. And then next we have Marcus Giron going against Brandon Nakashima. And, oof. These are two of my iffy players. But so far, Giron and Nakashima will be facing each other in their fourth head-to-head, going 2-1 Nakashima's way. Nakashima hasn't played him since 2022. So, it will be some time since we've seen them play each other. But, as I said before, Nakashima was the better player. On both of their hard court head-to-heads, Nakashima came out on top. That was 3 to 5 years ago, so I would say with the form that we have from B-Knock, we can definitely rely on him to get the win. But Marcus Giron, bro, can't be counting him out. I could see this one, out of all of their matches, they've played two out of 3 of their matches have been going to tie breaks. Not tie breaks, I'm sorry. A third set. So I would go maybe over total games in this one, or maybe a spread for Giron. The point total for the games is at 23.5. It's fucking high. I'd leave it alone, honestly. I'm probably going to stay away from that. But just looking at stats, 13 and 11 on the hard court, 16 and 11 for Nakashima. Giron with 13 and 11. 21 and 21 for Giron, 29 and 23 for Nakashima. Nakashima leads with a 60% win rate on both career and surface. And Giron is 56 career with a 58 surface win rate. So B-Knock should be the one that gets it done there. I'm not going to put money on it. I don't trust this match to bet on it. That's just me. If you guys do, let me know what you're playing. But I'm not gonna even play with it. But next we have Lorenzo Musetti going against Nicolas Basilashvili. And this is going to be their third head-to-head, crazy enough. Most of it has been on the grass, where Basilashvili has been winning. But on the indoor hard courts in Paris back in 2022, he did actually end up taking it from him. So, looking at Musetti being the world number 9 currently, and only really playing, a few matches on the hard court. His first real loss that started a bit of his bad form was from this guy in Wimbledon. He retired from Carlos in the semis in Paris, and then he got beaten in four sets against Nicolas. So, and then lost to Cam Norrie in DC, and then lost to Mickelson in Toronto, Bonzi in Cincinnati. But then since then, he's been back to being Musetti, it seems. Back to being a top 10 player, I would say. Dropped a set to Priesmich, but that guy has had a pretty decent record on the hard court this season. Going against someone like Basilashvili, who has about 15 wins and about 10 losses with a 53% win rate. That's still a little bit worse than Musetti, who's 12-8 this season with a 56% win rate. So, 2.75% over him. Nicolas has 35 wins and 25 losses. Musetti has 31 wins and 14 losses. So, just that alone, right, should tell you that Musetti should be getting right along here with no problem. Tabilo and Musetti already gets you at plus 105. So, if you're just looking at that, just due to the people that Nicolas has had to beat, I'm not convinced that he has enough to beat Musetti. Going Tomic, Billy Harris, and McDonald, that's not going to be enough to beat a top 10 player. And it's been pretty decently close in those matches in at least one set. So I say Musetti all the way. Nothing else. Maybe over total games if you think it might get stretched out a bit. But as of recently, their game was going a bit back and forth on the grass. I don't know if it will translate the same. We have been getting a fair amount of aces from Nikolos. He had about 14 last match against Mac McDonald. What about 11 going against Billy Harris? And then Musetti going against Przemyśl, he had about 10 himself. So if you want to look at aces, I'm sure there's some decent money in that as well. If you want to take Musetti going over 12.5 games, maybe he gets pushed a bit. That could also be a good play for you. But I think just taking the money line is safe. I think the money line would be the safest thing to do. So I'd go with that. All right, last but not least in Chengdu, we have Taro Daniel going against Alexander Shevchenko. And I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't seen the highlights yet. I had to go play tennis with my cousin today, so a lot of my time spent on looking at highlights was spent swinging a racket my damn self. So apologies on that. I will look into that further after the video to see if they'll be making it to the pinned comment. Don't forget, guys, if you guys are playing anything that I'm playing, what I say in the videos is what I'm seeing and saying, but what I'm committing to will be in the pinned comment. So if you're just taking what I'm saying and going off that, that's not the way to do it. Respectfully. Check the pinned comment. All right, so going into Taro Daniel and Alexander Shevchenko, this is their first head-to-head. And they're about, 70, 80 ranks apart. Shevchenko is in the top 100 at 96. Taro Daniel at one point was 58 last year. And now he's 168. So he's 9-15 this season. Shevchenko's 10-10. He made sure that he's in a different part of China than Bublik is, because that's been the person that's been getting rid of him in a lot of these tournaments recently. At least on the clay, right, for Shevchenko. But he got through Gio and Gael Monfils. He's been beating all the black guys. So let's see if he's able to get through Taro Daniel. I would be impressed. Taro Daniel seems to be playing pretty well, beating Duckworth, Billy Harris as well, and Coleman Wong and Talon Griekspoor. My money's on Taro Daniel, even though I don't like him. I would say Taro Daniel gets it done here. And he is the slight dog at minus 112. And Shevchenko's minus 108. They're 4 points apart in odds. Crazy. I think Taro Daniel's better. But maybe I'm missing something from what I haven't seen yet. I have to check the highlights. So I will star that for myself. Watch highlights. Alright, but we'll move on from that one. If anything, though, without looking, I would probably play Taro Daniel on DraftKings Fantasy for today, and that's about it. I don't think Shevchenko could beat him. Shevchenko's gone through who? Monfils and Perricard. Those are two decently good players, but they haven't been in great form. None of these guys have been in great form. So that's kind of why I'm like, I don't care too much for this one. But that will wrap up everything in Chengdu. We can scooch on over to Hangzhou, where our first match is going to be Corentin Moutet going against Tomas Etcheverry. And boy, oh boy, that should be an interesting one. Etcheverry's beaten him every time they played each other. They played twice this year on the clay. That makes me a bit sad. I like Moutet. Etcheverry so far has gone through Jumhor and Hichikata. Moutet's gone through 2 tie breaks in the third set just to get through Arthur Cazaux. So that kind of tells me that Etcheverry is here to play a little bit more. He's playing up a bit more. Since the U.S. Open, he hasn't dropped a set. That's really strong. If anything, and I mean if anything, you got to take him for a set. You got to take Etcheverry for a set at the very least. It's minus 400. Hard court record. They have the same amount of losses, but Moutet has 3 more wins. The only thing that's going to make us really, really commit to one or the other is going to have to be that lefty stat for Etcheverry. Let's see how he does against these jokers. He's 4-1 this season. Across his career, he's 41-34. But so far this season, he's been doing pretty well. Where did he beat? Where was that? Oh, in Cincinnati, he beat Jerry Shang. That's right. That's right. Okay, so that's a good. That's actually a good. That's a good comparison. 2 tie breaks. I could see it going to a tie break with Moutet. They did have one in their first match they played in Rio earlier this year. Let's see what that would cost us. That might be some smoke for today, if any. It's plus 125. We'll think about that one. But you know me. I love lefties. Clearly, so does Etcheverry because he's 4-1 against them. So, couldn't beat Ben Shelton though. That's the only one he couldn't beat. He beat Moutet twice already this year. You know what they say: if you beat someone 3 times in a row, you become their daddy. So is he about to get sunned right now? Is Moutet about to get sunned by Etcheverry, or is he going to go out like a real one and turn things around for us? I would love to see Moutet win. I'd probably play the money line for Etcheverry, I'd play the money line, but I would play Moutet on DraftKings fantasy. If I was to do that, that's what I would do. But that's just my 2 cents on that one. I'll move on. Yeah, we can move on. All right, next we have Valentin Royer going against our boy, Lerner Tien. And this is going to be their first head-to-head. The Frenchman going against the American. 5 years apart as well. 11-6 this season on the hard court for Royer. Going 51-22 with a 66% win rate on the hard court. Going against Lerner Tien, who is 19-10, so 8 more wins and 6 more losses. Who's 26-21 this season. Still has less losses than this guy does. And he's got a 75% win rate on the hard court. Now, it'd be foolish to say that the guy that was able to beat Rublev in straight sets is also the guy that's going to beat Lerner Tien. Both of these guys have been able to beat Rublev in straights. So what does that really mean? The only thing that really matters to me is how well this guy plays against lefties. And he is even money. He got beaten by Denis Shapovalov and Darwin Blanche and Adrian Manarino, but he lost to Abdallah Shelby and Juan Manuel Cerundolo. Those were all on the clay. Yeah, he has not beaten anybody he has not beaten any lefty on the hard court this season. That's what I'm going to go off of. That's all I need. That's all I need. And in those matches, he would go to a tie break, but it wouldn't take us. He would get a set. I could see this going 2-1 Lerner Tien. I could see this going 2-1 Tien. But when the money line is enough for me, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. And as the days go by, our future for him winning this whole thing is just growing. If it gets a bit ridiculous by tomorrow, I might have to cash out. We got to see what happens with the last two matches we're going to talk about. Which let's just get right into those. Yeah. All right. Next we have Yibing Wu going against Daniil Medvedev, and this is going to be their second head-to-head this year. But this will be their third in total. All in America on hard courts. This will be the first time they're playing on the home soil of Wu. Wu's only been able to get one set out of their 5 sets played. I'm sorry, he's never gotten a set on Medvedev. Beat him in straights in the U.S. Open, and then this year beat him 6-3, 6-2. But the way that we saw Medvedev against Basilashvili has me a little bit curious. Word on the street is Buddy got a new coach, or got rid of the one that was making things go haywire and negative in his camp before. Word on the street is there may be a new Medvedev popping up and playing a lot differently. You tell me what you've been seeing recently. Beating Basilashvili is something that should have happened. But then again, we've seen things that should have happened with him that don't. So, Yibing Wu is riding the hype right now. He beat Sebastian Corda and Manarino. If those aren't two people in decent enough form, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know with this one, guys. Wu has 3 less losses on the hard courts this season. He's got a 64% win rate, going 22-6 this season, 24-8 this season on all surfaces. Then we have Medvedev, who's 13-9 with a 74% win rate. Still, after all these losses, he's still 74% and 28-18 this season. That's 10 more losses than Wu has, though. So, when it comes to situations like that, you got to take a spread. Got to take the spread. Plus 5.5. Yeah. Even then, it's hard to really tell. It's hard to really tell. I don't know with this one, guys. Let me know what you guys are playing for this one. I'm gonna probably leave this one alone. Nothing comes at me immediately, so I when that's the case, I just stay away. And the last but not least, we have Dalibor Svrcina going against Alexander Bublik in their first head-to-head. But would you call me crazy if I think that this Svrcina guy may be going to at least the final? I don't. Granted, the level of serving that he's had to go against is going to be night and day. Like, when we see Bublik serving as well as he's serving, nobody can fuck with him, dude. And that's where my money's going to go. On Bublik. Because if I don't think Tien's going to take this tournament, I think it's going to be Bublik. Let's just keep a bean a bean. Let's just keep a bean a bean. You know? So, there's about 8 matches, and there's 4 people I think are going to win off the top of my head, and that's Tabilo, Musetti, Tien, and Bublik. But before we go into that, let's look into the stats for Dalibor and Alexander. On the hard court, Svrcina is Czech, by the way, and he's 24-10 this season with a 44-24 record across all surfaces. Bublik's only 9-9. Not a very strong hard court record. It's actually 6% lower of a win rate than Dalibor Svrcina has. So on paper, Svrcina is better. His best surface is going to be an indoor court, which is also Bublik's. So even though they say it's an outdoor tournament, I think the Hangzhou one is a little bit more indoorish. I think they have some abilities to limit the wind in that stadium that they're playing in. So we'll see. Definitely will be playing those fellas on DraftKings. If you wanted to hedge with what you're betting on with the DraftKings, you can do that as well, right? Like you can take Tien to win money line, but if you really were iffy about it, you could play Royer on a DraftKings slip. That's kind of the way I like to do it. If I'm not too sure about outcomes, I can still cover my ass in certain ways. But that's everything we got for the quarterfinals. That's everything. So let me know what you guys are playing. Hop into the comments. Don't forget, there's a link in the pinned comment if you'd like to join the Discord for free. And there's also a link if you'd like to support. I'm just happy with you guys coming to the channel and watching. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one. Love you all. Peace.